Okay, so we're going to talk about for loops now. So if you watched the tutorial on the while loop, we already went through and printed each one of these elements on my list to the screen using a while loop. That was super fun. But we can do it even funner with a for loop. For loop is wonderful for looping through items that are already known. So if we know that we have X amount of items in a list and we want to loop through each one of those items real quickly, a for loop makes it really simple. Partially because it builds into it a counter for us. It kind of does two steps in one for us. So if I want to loop through my list, I can just there are two ways I can do it with a for loop. I can say for name in my list, print name. Okay, and it's just as easy as that. If I ran this, it's going to print each name in that list. Real quickly, real fast. There's 2 lines of code, and I got all that functionality. That's pretty cool. So this is a really quick way of getting the access to the value of each one of these items. Now, what I do not have is the index or the location of each one of these items. I know that I have Bob, I know I have Charlie, I know I have Sharon, but I have no idea where Sharon is. I don't have access to where Sharon is in that list. So, say I wanted to find, say I had a huge list of names, right? And I wanted to find one of these names, and then I wanted to print not only the name of the person that I'm looking for, but the people around that person, the person in front and the person behind. I couldn't do it with this format because I don't have access to its index value, its location. I know that the Matilda is a value, but I have no idea that Matilda is located at my list sub 01234. 01234, yeah. My list sub 4 is Matilda, but I don't know that. I have no access to that here. That's because I'm only grabbing the value. The name is the value in this list. And again, I could have any word for here if I wanted. I could have value. I could have my variable. I can name it however I want. So the other form of the for loop, which is a little more powerful, is I can use this kind of syntax. For I in range of the length of my list. Okay, so now let's just print I and see what we get to the screen with this syntax. So I see I get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm getting the values, or not the values, but well, I am getting the values of the list, but the length of the list, the range. But what I'm getting, in essence, is the location of each item. I'm getting this location, this location, this location, this location. So if I wanted to print the value here, all I would need to do is say my list sub I, and then I would be printing the value. Run module. Okay, and now I'm getting the value. So let's go back to our example earlier and say, how do we, if we wanted to find Matilda, okay, we had no idea where she was in this big old list. We want to find Matilda and then print not only her, but the person before and after her. I could say, if my list sub I equals Matilda, right? So if the value of my list at location I is Matilda, then I want to print my list sub I minus 1. That would give us Sally. I want to print my list sub I, that will give us Matilda, and I want to print my list, sub I plus 1. So this would give us, okay, so Matilda is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Value, the index of 4. So this would, in essence, give us my list sub 3, my list sub 4, and my list sub 5. So let's run that and see what happens. So we found Matilda, and then we printed Sally, Matilda, and Sharon. Sally, Matilda, Sharon. Okay, so that's just a real quick introduction into for loops and the powers that come with those. But it's good to realize the two forms for name in my list, and then do stuff in here, and then for I in range length of my list. And in the next tutorial, I'll break this down a little bit further, but that's the syntax.